So here we are 1 year later. This is a Prado 2021 GXL. Thought I'd do an owner's review. I appreciate that it's got a lot of bits bolted on. We've done a few mods. So what I thought I'd try and do is ignore those mods and just talk about the vehicle. What I like, don't like. So try and stick as much as I can to the basic Prado, so that we don't get confused and I take you off on a journey on something else. And incidentally, there is another video I've done on the mods, so if you've got any interest in that, I'll put a link in the description below. By all means, check it out and you can see the mods in details and why I've done them. So as I said, I've had this vehicle 12 months now. Mileage is pretty low. We're just about 12,000 kilometers. Why is it so low? Number of reasons. COVID, but also I don't do much mileage on the weekend unless we're going on longer trips, and that's sort of only every few months we do some long trips. So day to day I just use this as a run around and go to work, take the kids to school, so a bit of a family vehicle in the week. So with that in mind, you know, I've got 2 kids, so very much family vehicle during the week, as I said. So a lot of our review is really about the practicalities with a family. So I'm not going to talk too much about the off-road stuff. We'll talk a little bit, but just you know, for me, this is the day-to-day use of the Prado. So as I said, 12,000 Ks. Service intervals are 6 months or 10,000. So obviously with my low mileage, you know, it's just about to have its second service, because you still have to do it every 6 months irrespective of mileage. I've got fixed price servicing for 5 years, providing I go back to Toyota. So far that's worked out pretty good. I'm happy with that. I think I paid last time something under $300. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Yeah, service intervals are a bit short, especially if it's 6 months. But anyway, you know what, you need to look after your vehicle, so I'm happy to go with that. So what do I like about it? I like the LED lights. Look, obviously appreciate they're hiding behind the bumper here, but you've got daytime running lights along the bottom, which are really nice, and they're LED. You've got the LED headlights in there as well. They're really good and really bright. I like that. When the headlights are on, the daytime running ones go off, and then obviously they swap back when you go there. You got the indicator in the side, all good. I do like the fact that the grille is way back from the radiator, and that really gives you a bit of space and a bit of cooling in there. Also a bit of internal protection should, you know, anything happen. You know, the radiator's well back. Obviously I've got a bar in the front, but that's a bit different story. So you've got your sensor in here. So this sensor is you've got your adaptive speed control for cruising, cruise control, sorry. So you can flick it into cruise control and it will sense the vehicle in front and slow down behind them, which is pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of tech, this vehicle, but that is one of the things I do like, and we'll talk about tech in a minute. So not much else on the front really to talk about, other than the fact that the vehicle is really robust. It's well built, really solid. You know, all the panels are what they call old-fashioned, you know, full metal panels. And I know with the new vehicles coming out now, even the 300, they're starting to replace these panels with aluminium or lighter weight materials, save weight on vehicles. But of course you lose the rigidity and the strength within the vehicle if you do that. But I guess, you know, that's the price we now pay for modernization. Look, at the end of the day, I love the build quality of this vehicle, and that's probably one of the best things about it. You know, people will criticize the lack of technology, fair comment, but there are some of us who don't want the technology. I've driven cars with technology and I don't like it. You know, the technology tries to take over what you do, and I think you'll find that most people switch a lot of it off. But if you enjoy driving and you're an old-fashioned bugger like me, you like to be able to drive yourself and not have your backseat drivers telling you what to do by beeping at you constantly, Anyway, enough said on technology. So rear view mirrors, there is a button inside to fold them, so you can press a button to fold them in electrically. You can obviously close them manually. If they are closed when you start the engine, you've closed them maybe manually. I do when I park sometimes. When you start the engine, it will automatically open for you. They don't automatically close when you stop the vehicle, which is a little bit interesting. But anyway, so this particular model, I know they've changed it, does not have any monitoring for vehicles next to you when you're driving. Do I care? No, because these mirrors are massive. These mirrors are really big. You get really good visibility out of these mirrors. So to be honest with you, it's never bothered me in this vehicle. It's not necessary. However, I think it now comes as standard with it. So in terms of the door, you've got touch locking here on the door. You can just touch it and the vehicle will lock. So proximity key in my pocket. You obviously got the manual key there, and you can then obviously put your hand in and it will open for you to get inside. So inside, what do we like? What is there? So as I said, technology is fairly basic, but I think good enough. So you've got the 9-inch screen on this particular one. I did say in one of my initial reviews that I felt the quality wasn't great. I've actually got used to it, and it's not, you know what, it's not really an issue. You know, you're nitpicking if you really think it is. It's a nice big screen, which I like. I like the 9-inch side. It does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is brilliant, of course. So the only problem with that is you have to have your phone connected down here in order to get that to work. So I've just run a lead up down the side and up to a phone adapter up the top, so I can mount my phone on the windscreen and then get Apple or Android Auto in my case working on the screen. We'll power it up in a minute and I can show you what's on the screen, but we'll just go through the buttons first. So manual buttons here, very touch, you know, very sort of traditional buttons here. I like this. I like the physical rigidity of buttons. You're pressing in, on, off, you know, the last rather than touch controls. They're very positive when you're driving. It's not hard to find anything. With this particular model, I've got rear temperature control, so you can do it from here using the rear button, and then you can adjust the temperature. So the rear there, and then you've got rear information here, and that's how you change it, and you just adjust, and it tells you on the basic screen, and we'll put it on in a minute and I'll show you. Other than that, everything's pretty basic. There's nothing exciting there. You've got your four-wheel drive controls down here. They're in a good location, so when I'm off-road I do find that pretty useful. I can see clearly what's where. There's a drinks holder in the front. I have to admit, don't use that much, but it's certainly there. The reason I don't use it is actually I've got a drinks holder in the door, which I use. I prefer that one, but anyway, but it is there. And that, this little cubby hole in here, yeah, I'm not totally convinced on it. It's useful for putting stuff away. At the moment I store my sunglasses in there, and for those of you that saw my earlier video, you'll know that there is a sunglass holder up the top. So if you release this, you get a rear view mirror for the kids in the back, which, yeah, it's not that useful to be honest with you. Bit of a gimmick. And if you pull that further down, you actually get the slot for your glasses. But for those of you that saw my point before, that it is a little bit tricky to get glasses in and out of here, especially one-handed when you're driving. So I've tried not to use it because you just damage your glasses. But anyway, that goes back up. I like the fact that with whilst we're up here, with the door lights, so you can they're obviously on the door setting, and when you switch them off, that makes sure they all stay off, which is what I do like, that ability. And you can actually switch them on and off further at the back if you're in the back. Quite useful if you're off-road, because you do need to switch stuff off there, so that's very positive. And you can obviously have it on permanently on. It does go off automatically if it's on door, of course, like most normal vehicles. You've got your mirrors and things in the sun visors, both for passenger and driver. So, and there's a light there as well up there for your passenger, and actually the driver's side has exactly the same thing, light and a mirror. So that's it's pretty well equipped from that point of view. Coming back to technology, look, we mentioned I mentioned cruise control. So you've got your cruise control down here, which is good. You got your lane assist here, and then your front sensor, whatever you call it, here. Look, most of this I have pretty much switched off or turned down. I don't like lane assist. It's not particularly good in this vehicle. I don't see any point in it, really, to be honest with you. So other than that, yes, you've got your phone controls, you know, the pretty usual stuff, Bluetooth, and that's it. So we'll start the vehicle, and then just take you through some of the things that I do and I don't like about it. So pretty basic in terms of the dash. I'm pretty happy with that. It can stay as basic as it wants, thank you very much, less to go wrong. So temperature, and you've got the ability to change controls here, so we can go up through a few of the center screen settings here. So you'll see whilst we're on this particular one, average fuel consumption 12.5 liters after last refuel. So one of the things with the Prado, and you'll hear a lot of conversations around fuel economy. Look, it's like a piece of string, really. You know, what do you want to make out of it? Because we all drive differently and we have different setups. So, you know, if you do no mods and you do long driving, yes, you'll get nearer to the recommended fuel consumption. As soon as you do daily commutes like I do, where you're driving less than 10 kilometers, I think, less than 10 kilometers to work or to the school, you know, that stop start, never go above 60 kilometers an hour. I've got a roof rack, I've got bull bar, I've got dual battery systems, extra weight in the front, you know, tires, different tires, suspension change, you know, and even then I'm hitting 12.6 on the worst case scenario for me. I don't tow, so that's kept it down a bit. And if we actually go back up through some of the settings, you'll see that since I last pressed the reset button, it's 12.4 liters, which is not bad for me, I don't think. And then if we go up, obviously since start, which is just now, nothing. So those are the standard information screens. And if we go down, we get to DPF. So again, people like to make a big issue out of DPF. I don't think there's any issue to talk about, other than the fact that every 300 kilometers, almost spot on, it runs. It runs automatically, you don't have to do anything. It gets up to 4 bars and then runs. This screen comes on and shows you that it's running. You can exit out of it. How long does it run for? It runs for 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the ambient temperature, generally, I find. So if it's a hot day, it runs pretty quick, because obviously it's already pretty hot down there underneath, and that's all it does, is it just increases the temperature and burns it off. And a cold day, it runs for a bit longer. It doesn't seem to make much difference in terms of mileage. It's almost exactly 300 k's. Bit irritating on a long trip, but it is what it is, and you don't have to worry about it. There's not much else in here in terms of information side, but you can scroll through different menus. You've got steering angle, which I guess a little bit useful if you're off-road, I'm not sure. Compass. You've got your audio on there. Your lane stuff is in here, so you can see I have it off, and you've got your cruise control off as well. No messages, and then there's some main settings in here where you go in and do the settings. So we'll put that back to where it should be. In terms of the rest of it, I will come back to the system. So as I said, Toyota's head units are not particularly fantastic, but it does its job. This particular one does have satellite navigation, but I don't really use the satellite on here because it's not great. I prefer to use my phone. So unfortunately the phone's not actually connected this second, so what I'll need to do is just plug it in. So phone's connected, sorry about that. We've got an Android Auto in my case. You know, you can obviously put your apps on, so we'll go back to the apps. So you can put your apps on and the usual story. Look, as I said, it's fine. I don't really have any issues with it. I like it. Other than that, there's nothing very exciting about it, to be honest with you. It's a pretty basic system. I guess the Android Auto is good. The reason I don't use the maps, the satellite maps, is as I said, you've got Android Auto, you use Google Maps, so that's probably best for me. I also use Gaia for off-road stuff because that's built in, but the other thing is, you probably look, if you're going off-road, you'd have out of signal, you'd have a decent mapping system anyway, so that's that. The only challenge I think inside that I've found really was the lack of USB, and you'd have to add more USB. So I have put in an additional USB down here. It's a dual port down here, and this is where that would be where the heaters, the seat heaters go. It's a blanking plate that I put that in. And I guess that's the only real challenge, you know, with Toyota. They should have put more USB ports in there. The only other thing I would mention is that the performance of the engine and the gearbox. So you know, this is the latest version with a more powerful engine, and I've been really happy with the gearbox. The gearbox transmission is really good, very happy with that. I don't have any issues with it hunting for gears, going uphill. I find it really good. I've been really pleased with it. You've got you've obviously got the manual selection, so you know, drive, and then you can put it into manual gears very easily, and plus and minus. That's there. I like the position of the gear lever because you can actually, you've got to move it, so you don't just push up and down, so you can feel it. If you're old-fashioned like me, you like the manual gear stick, well, this is pretty close to it because you've got to be able to feel the movement, and if you go to the different positions, you've got to move it left to click it into the different positions. So by not looking at it, I'm able to know where I am because I know by feel. So as I said, those of us that are used to a manual gearbox will know what I mean. Old-fashioned handbrake. One little trick I learned is that generally don't even use the handbrake if you're on a level surface. You don't need to put the handbrake on, save the wear and tear on that, because once you're in park, if you're on a level surface, it's not necessary. So I generally don't use the handbrake. That said, in terms of second start and things like this, this car has a second start, so if you wanted to start in second gear, obviously you use that, because otherwise it's not possible to start in second gear, because if you put it into drive and you put it into select, and we'll go up to the screen now, so you'll see at the top there we're in select 4, and if we bring it down we go to 1, but it won't stay in 1. And it's pretty difficult to stay in 1. One thing I did learn with the manual select is that if you select, let's say you put it into 3, it will go 1, 2 and up to 3, and it won't go above 3, but it will come down to 1 and 2. So I didn't know that. Anyway, that's that. So anyway, that's the driving. I have to say, really good. The only thing I suppose with the engine that I wasn't particularly happy about, and that was the lag. So whilst the engine's pretty good, more powerful, and that's been great, the diesel lag, notorious issue with diesels. I think for this particular vehicle that is worse than I've experienced on others. However, that said, there is a fix for it. It's something called a throttle controller. So I put one in here, and this is an iDrive throttle controller. So you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do mods, and I don't know how to do that, it's all too complicated. So this little product is 200 bucks in Australia. It literally, any idiot could connect it. You just put your head under where the accelerator pedal is, you pull off the cable that's connected to the top of the accelerator cable, and you plug this cable into it, and then you plug the original cable back onto the piggyback adapter that's there, and that is it. It's literally anybody can do it. And once you're up and running, this really takes the lag out. So I have it on what's called Ultra 4 most of the time. It goes up to 9, but that takes the lag out. It doesn't give me more power, but it just eliminates the lag, the throttle lag. So between putting your foot on the accelerator and the engine kicking up, this does it quicker for you. So that's a good workaround I've found for that. Other than that, not much to really tell you. As I said, let's just look at the screen now. We've got that up and running. If I put the reversing camera on, obviously we've got rear sensors. It's reasonable above quality, more than happy with that. It's not happy with the rear sensors, so we'll shut that up and put it back into park. But you can see, and in terms of the screen, it does what you need to do. You've got left and right temperatures. You can do your rear temperature as well. So there we go, rear is on low at the moment, and the fan speed for rear is there. They've got a control in the back, but so they can do it, but when your kids start fighting, you can override it and just annoy them. So in terms of the interior, great for families. So obviously second row of seats, I put covers on mine. These are super trim neoprene covers, because if your kids are anything like mine, they'll mess. The nice thing about the Prado is a lot of custom stuff specifically built for it, so you don't have any issues there. There's a range of stuff, and I think that's probably one of the good things about the Prado, is that, you know, wherever you go you can find custom bits that fit perfectly, so you're no longer trying to make things work and just have generic products. You got obviously center armrest, and obviously mine are all covered now. One thing I do like about the seats is the fact that they've got a slide. You can actually slide them forward and back, and they've got 3 positions, fully back, middle and forward, and that enables you obviously to free up a bit more space in the rear row, and we'll take a look at that now. So in the second row, unforgive the mess, sorry, I didn't clean it out for you. But as I said, I got kids. So as I said, you've got the fully adjustable, and then your rear row seats can not only you can fold it back, slide it forward to get into the rear. Obviously I've got stuff in the back at the moment, but that's how you climb into the rear section. You have to go in from this side, and as I said, you can slide the seats in a forward position with the usual underneath the seat. You can then clip the seat forward, and the beauty about it is that you could actually have one seat further forward, or the other one, and that's just fully forward, and you can see the difference there, and you can adjust them separately. So I do like that. It's quite useful, especially if you're carrying something and you want to adjust the seats accordingly, squeeze them in. And as I said, rear, you've got the control for the kids at the back there. Again, only one adapter at the back, and that's a bit of a challenge, so I haven't really you know, you just put in one of those converters, adapters into it, and get your power out of it. I put an additional USB just in the back, which the kids connect to when they need to, so I'm very happy with that. No really issues. It's just, you just have to make a workaround, but as we said before, pretty basic stuff. And then in the back you've obviously got you've got the vents up the top for the kids, and then even in the back row you've got the vents. So, you know, again, it's a good family vehicle, very versatile. You have the ability to, you know, day to day take the kids to and from school. And then obviously the third row of seats in the back, very useful for when the kids have friends, you know, to be able to have that extra seating space. The only thing I would say, and you've probably seen on the internet, is that there's very little boot space once you've got the rear seats up. However, I use the roof rack if I need to carry anything particularly big once the kids are in the back. Don't have it very often, but certainly need it. So you know, that's the sort of interior. There's no real bells and whistles in it. It's pretty basic. You've obviously got electric windows and things for the rear. but there's very little tech, there's very little connections, there's very little to worry about. I like that. I like the rigidity of the vehicle, and it's been very reliable. So just quickly round to the rear from a practical perspective, obviously you can get a tow bar. I didn't go for Toyota, I went for a different one, Heyman Reese bar, only because it was slightly cheaper. Anyway, it's got the rear sensors, as I said, for parking. That's pretty standard. It doesn't have front sensors, this particular model. Anyway, you've actually got a lock unlock button again at the back, so if you've got the key in your pocket, you can lock unlock the vehicle from there. Otherwise, nothing very exciting. I do like the good visibility of the rear screen. That's very good. Sorry, the rear window. That's really good. Yep, not much else to say. Rear brake light up the top, nice and bright as well, so that's good. And then in the back, the barn door. Some people like it, some people don't. I love it. So probably best not to get me started on powered tailgates. I'm not a fan. For those of you that know me, I'm not a fan of powered tailgates. The reason I'm not a fan is that they kill your battery. So constant opening closing of a powered tailgate, you need an awful lot of juice in your battery to do that. And if you're not running the engine at the time, a few opens and closes, you'll start to drain your battery. Anyway, there's a story about that, about flattening a battery on a camping trip with one of those. So I don't like them. So this is a barn door. Yeah, you've actually got the ability to lock it when you're open, which is nice. It also gives you the clearance, so you're not bumping your head on something. Yes, it's a bit awkward sometimes. You've got to walk around it, but that's about as awkward as it gets. A little bit of storage in here. You got toolkit in here, but it's nice and heavy. It's well built, really robust, and you do feel it's solid. Yes, it's heavy, and I get it. If you're a mum in the car park, it's may not be the best, and actually if you are mum in a car park, maybe you should go for the flat tailgate option. So for those of you that don't know, the flat tailgate option, basically the tire comes off the back, it goes underneath the vehicle, and then you have the ability to open the glass panel without opening the full door. So they separate the panel from the door, which is quite nice for those of you wanting to chuck shopping in a car park and you don't need to open the whole back. The sacrifice of that is that you lose the long range tank that goes underneath. So with the tire on the back, I've got 150 litres. I believe if you take the tire off and put it underneath, you drop that to 80 litres. So quite a difference if you're going off-road. So something to think about when you place your order. There are the two options available. So inside, look, there's nothing really to talk about in here. You can get all sorts of stuff on eBay to protect the vehicle. So there's an eBay mat. Again, there's stuff ready built for this type of vehicle, which is wonderful. Look, I like the way the rear seat belts clip in. That's nice. The rear seats sit underneath, obviously under here. They fold flat, but this is very high. Don't get me wrong, this is high even without the suspension lift. This was high then, so just be aware of that. But it's it is what it is. It's a nice big high robust vehicle. Comes with a luggage compartment cover, so you can cover the back if you really feel you need to. That obviously comes out as well as you need, but yeah, it does what it does. Nothing particularly exciting about it. Obviously I've done a few bits and pieces with electrical mods and things with switching and lights in the back. As I said, another video on that. The other thing I have done is quite useful, is you can get LED lights now that go in these things, and they're a lot better. Haven't been able to get one for the front yet. I did buy one, it didn't fit, I had to send it back, but you can get LEDs for that. I also changed the LED reversing light as well in here. So sorry, it's that one there. That's the LED reversing light. So that's the back, and we'll just talk about the vehicle more generally. So in terms of comfort and ride, look, I killed it by doing the suspension and mods. It was a really comfy, from factory day one, very comfy, very luxurious. I felt, you know, it's a good quality vehicle, and the ride was really good. Obviously, with the suspension changes I've done, I've really firmed up the suspension, so I've changed that now. Yeah, but that's the sacrifice I've made to go off-road. But from a family perspective, off the factory, it was really good. That said, as well, actually, so I just started to rain. I'll just move back a bit. That said, out of the factory, I took this vehicle with factory tires, complete factory build. I took it to an off-road place. Really gave it a good run. I was very impressed. So in terms of a family vehicle, without doing any mods, there's nothing stopping you taking a Prado off-road, and it's very capable as it stands. So don't be shy about really pushing it to its limits without doing anything to it. Anyway, that's it. I've been happy with the vehicle. Look, I've bought this vehicle the last many years, so you know, hence I've done a bit to modify it. Appreciate some people might want to just keep 3 years and sell, but even if you do that, they hold their value really well, which is one of the key things to them. Obviously at the moment that's a little bit different, in fact increasing their value. But that said, you know, very reliable vehicle. Stick to the service periods, and the vehicle will last you well. It's solid, it's well built, there's no doubt about it. You know, it's the end of the range as such, so there's many years worth of development gone into this, and tweaks and modifications. And I think, you know, for me, the lack of technology, you know, fair enough. If you really want the tech, this is not the vehicle for you. And to be honest with you, there are plenty of other 7-seater vehicles around if that's what you're looking for. This is not a vehicle of technology. This is a vehicle built to last, to take your family off-road a little bit, but it will do the day-to-days. Anyway, hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you very much.